Why is it that China and Russia have not stepped up in defending Venezuela when they invested so much in it, militarily, diplomatically, and over the years so much? Why is it that we are not seeing anything from Russia or China?
What could they have done? Let me ask you, what could they have done? Could they have sent their military there? That is out of the question. Although, the Chinese weaponry in Venezuela is huge, meaning from what I understand from 2014 onwards. Although before that, till about 2000, it was the American weaponry that was going to Venezuela. But over the last 10, 12, 15 years, it is basically Chinese, it is Russian. Chinese is the largest component.
Their delegation was sitting there.
Yes.
When the extrication happened.
Yeah, so both, as you said very rightly, Smita, both in terms of investments, meaning I'm sure it will come as a huge surprise to your listeners and viewers that China has invested more than $300 billion in South America. More than 300 billion. And out of that, more than $100 billion has been invested in Venezuela. More than $100 billion. And so you can understand the nature of, the...
angst, probably.
Yeah.
But silent angst.
Yeah, and the dynamism.
Which is typical Chinese.
Typical Chinese.
You won't know what they are planning and what they're doing. Because America does everything with a lot of political noise and apparent display of its might. Whereas the Chinese will do it in an insidious manner. So one really doesn't know. They're not going to let that kind of investment go unprotected. So they would be doing something, right?
Yeah, I think...
Or just let it be that write it off?
No, I don't think they will write it off, but they had been receiving, for instance, large quantities of oil from there. Meaning
their tankers are still there, I believe.
They are still there. Officially, not really, but much of it, what I understand, was coming over the last 8-9 months at least through the shadow fleet. So, if you look at the official documentation, how much of oil has gone to China because of the sanctions, from March 2025, I don't think you'll be able to find any official documentation to suggest how much of oil has gone. But otherwise, about 80% of the oil that was being drilled by Venezuela, about 900,000 barrels per day. Out of that, about 650 to 700,000 barrels per day was going to China. And so it was a huge, and this was a part of that loan for oil. So they have given them so much of loan, so much of grants, as I said, more than $100 billion. And that was being requited, something similar to what Russia and China have signed in this Siberia 2 agreement in which much investment has come from China and oil and gas is going to China from Russia. So similarly from here, lots of that was going. But I think on the at the global south level, they are definitely going to raise a lot of opposition. China much more than Russia because, Chinese weaponry has also been seen to be, quite duds because they were not really able to respond. 150 aircraft coming in and the Chinese weaponry.
But they didn't even try to use it, right? I mean, the weaponry is lying there, but somebody has to fly those birds. Somebody has to use that weaponry. If it wasn't used, then how can you blame the Chinese weaponry right now?
It was incapacitated. That's what they say, that it is cyber kinetic, actions that the Americans were able to do, that they were able to get all of them disabled. Something that Mr. Trump said, we could get all the lights put off in Caracas. We have expertise of that nature. I think that also really referred to much of the weaponry. So, we in the Op Sindoor, we were able to show how, ineffective the Chinese weaponry is. And I think here also, of course, there the narrative was changed by China, by Pakistan, by some of the others. So, global narrative was a little different. But here, of course, it is quite...
So after this operation, would you say that America has ended the debate on China replacing America as a as the world's top military power?
Top military power, I don't think ever China was a challenger to the United States. You look at it,
At least they wanted to say it.
No, they wanted to say it, but I think their control over other countries, their influence, dominance over other countries in the area of trade, in the area of investment, through the Belt and Road Initiative. And, meaning, as I said, $300 billion in South America itself. So these are huge numbers. So as far as trade is concerned, investment, they of course cannot be challenged. And
but in Venezuela, it was military also, right?
It was also military. But if you look at the presence, where is it that China can exercise its military might and influence? For instance, now if you look at the United States, 80 countries it has bases in. More than, there are different figures, anything between 750 to 900 sort of, stations where they are placed, whether it is in South Korea, Japan, Philippines, you name it, Australia, in
Cyprus,
Middle East, Cyprus,
everywhere.
Europe, Middle East, everywhere.
Yeah.
Where does China exist? Djibouti, one. Maybe it has sort of, control in Hambantota and Gwadar and others. But those are not strictly military bases.
Sure.
So they might have, they don't even have the capability and capacity to go through the first island chain. They are sort of so constricted and restrained there. So I think as far as military might is concerned, definitely,
but I believe in Chinese social media sites already the talk is that people are saying that if America could do this, it's about time that we go and occupy Taiwan and all the islands that we have been threatening and we've not really taken action. What's stopping you now? This is the kind of conversation which is happening in Chinese social media sites.
Yeah, social media, as you know, social media might say whatever it wants to. But
China will do when it has to.
Yeah, but I don't think China has ever been restricted or restrained by what international law says. Number one. Number two, I think as far as Taiwan is concerned, it doesn't consider that to be an issue of international law.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा.
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है.
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दें?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब.
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप.
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI. It does not lie.